You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and the last few segments I've brought you have been quite serious, and I would imagine controversial because I know it will shatter a lot of belief systems. When this information was first shared with me, I poo-pooed it. I'm like, that's craziness, ran away from it. 6 months later, it was brought back to me again. This time I decided I'll have an open mind and listen. As a journalist, that's my job. So I did. I listened. And a few things jumped out at me, but then it was overwhelming and too intense. And again, I poo pooed it and ran from it. But here's what I've learned, and I'm going to share that with you. It's my truth. I'm not asking you to make it yours. But what I've learned is that when you are meant to hear something, your angels and your guides, because we've all got them, will make sure you hear it. They will keep throwing it in your face or throwing you in its face until you stop and listen. And I'm at that point, I'm wide awake to the information that I'm sharing with you and hoping that you listen. And whatever else happens after you listen is between you and God, but please listen. And so my guest is Heather, and she is known as the Crystal Clear Channel on other platforms. So you should try to find her there because in addition to what we are sharing with you, she's got tons more that will knock your socks off. Heather, welcome back. This is part 4.
Yeah, you're right. Part 4, super exciting. Thank you so much. And I know that you'll drop the links to my TikTok too below, so people can just click on there if they want to find me. Most of my content's on TikTok. I have a lot of stuff on there, and I'm starting to upload it to Instagram because TikTok's sort of blocking my content, and I'm working on getting it up to YouTube as well. So today is the third part in a series that I've been doing about the collapse of the 4 pillars. And my guides, I channel a group of cosmic beings that they tell me that they're here to share truths to help with the awakening. And I'm just the mouth. I'm just the third dimensional mouthpiece of this information. I knew none of this stuff before. I had no opinion on any of it. This is just the information that I'm sharing based on what I've channeled. So go back and watch the other couple of videos because I go into this more, but just from a high level perspective, our planet's being ran by a global pyramid. Just like any corporation, our planet is a corporation. And there's people at the top of the globe. I call them the global CEOs or the powers that were because they're starting to lose their control. They run everything, and there's a low, mid, high level management system, just like any corporation. And they've created out of nothing. What my guides have shared is 4 pillars. There's many, there's others, but these are the 4 main pillars that are collapsing around the globe that they created and to control us, to hijack our minds, our energy, our money, and everything so that they can live beautifully at the top of the globe and other reasons. But the 4 main pillars are political structures, which I got into in the last video. Man-meds, I'm calling them, because when I said this word, Western meds, got taken down off TikTok. So I'm going to be calling it man-meds today. Banking and finance and education. And today I'm covering man-meds and education. The last video I covered political structures and religion. The glue that keeps all this together, that keeps us believing we have to participate in these, is the media, which I'll get into in another video. Religion, which I got into in the last video. Hollywood was created when religion started failing. That blew my mind when I channel a lot about Hollywood on my TikTok account. My guides tell me it's to help wake people up. And then law enforcement, the law. These are literally systems created out of thin air. We used to be a very, we're meant to live in a very loving, supportive, camaraderie, barter and trade society. But this is a top-down structure that the people at the top, have been enslaving us so that we at the bottom can support them and what they want at the top. And this has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. The systems have changed over time, but it's still the same purpose. So what they shared with me for man-meds is that this is something newer. This is newer in the last couple hundred years. We used to live for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and there's proof of this everywhere. Go do your own research. Don't take my word for it. There's books on this. All kinds of things that have been found by the scientific community, anthropology community. Tribes around the world are still living in the way of plant medicine, natural healing modalities. But I'll just say it, the Rockefellers created, when they found out that they could make a lot of money with using petroleum to create drugs, they created the man-made system that we all participate in today. So they created these, drugs, and wiped all references of because they're part of this top-down structure. They're at the top. They wiped all references, mandated that new books be written, and wiped all references to plant medicine. You can go back in the 1800s and see books were written with plant medicine being the cure or the recommendation. That was all wiped because there's not a lot of money in that. So they created a system that could, it doesn't cure, it just masks the symptoms. Here I have this, addresses symptoms, not cures, right? And they created drugs that people got hooked on, which there's documentaries about this out there now. They're scripted and narrated, but it is out there. They created medicine that you have to go and pay for, and then it masks your symptoms. You get addicted, you keep going back, but it doesn't actually cure your fibromyalgia or your seizures or your sickness or your whatever it is. They found that they could make a lot of money doing, they make money through surgeries and medicine. And I experienced this for myself a few years ago when I had this crazy injury that nobody could tell me what it was. They wanted to cut me open, but they didn't know what it was. Turns out it was partly spiritual, and I was cured without surgery. But they created this in order to take our money from us and keep us sick, okay? So when you go to the doctor, you're diagnosed with whatever it is, and you're given medicines. And, besides colds and viruses, a lot of these things you live with forever, right? And you just take medicine to mask the symptoms. What's kept from us is that there's actually ways to heal these things. And I believe that going forward, my guides have said that some of this stuff's going to come out to the surface. Truth can't stay hidden as much anymore. I talk about this on my channel. Won't talk about this today. But when the medicine that they created started causing cancer, instead of taking it off the market, instead of not prescribing that anymore, instead of changing back to plant medicines that don't cause any of that stuff, they created the Cancer Institute and are taking even more money and more time, money, and energy to keep you sick, right? It's what?
And lives.
Well, and alive, right? So you stay participating in a system that takes your money, that keeps you sick and never heals you, right? And so for what? 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you live with cancer, and many times people pass, but that's not how we're meant to live. So what my guides say, and again, go do your own research on this, don't take my word for it. Our body, we come from a creator, okay? Go check out my videos on religion, but we come from a creator. We are here in the creator's, having an experience on behalf of the creator, okay? We have the essence of creator in us. The creator is within us. We can connect to our higher selves and creator through us. We are told we can't. We have to follow what other people are telling us what to do. But part of our makeup, we are intelligently made. We are one of the most beautifully crafted beings, my understanding and what I've channeled, in the universe. And there's more beings than humans. I'm not even going to go there today, but our bodies are designed to tell us when there's something wrong. Okay. So literally, Chinese medicine, go research Chinese medicine, but Chinese medicine and other areas, other places, practices. If you're having a challenge with kidneys, say, or the liver or whatever, you go to a doctor, they're going to give you medicine, or they want to do surgery, right? What they don't tell us, and many of them they don't know this either, right? They're in the system as well. The doctors that we visit, they're in the system as well. Caveat, I have to say, I channel people's soul contracts and life blueprint for my day job. You can find me. I know Jennylyn will link me below. But I channel people's soul contracts and their life blueprint. And I have a lot of clients that are in this field or the education field or one of these fields that have come to me. The universe seems to bring them to me because they're waking up and not feeling very comfortable anymore. I have a lot of people in this field. And they're saying, I got into this to help people and I don't. And they've been in it for 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years sometimes. And they say, I don't really feel comfortable anymore. It's not what I thought it was. I'm not able to help anyone. My handcuffs, I'm handcuffed with really helping people, and they're waking up to what's really going on.
I am getting chills when you say that.
It's so exciting. They're waking up to what they're really here to do, which in a nutshell, high level, it's very specific per person what I channel, but in a nutshell, they're waking up and what they're being told to do is to take all of the information and everything that they know. And they chose to come here as a soul, get into that field, gain credibility and knowledge, and then be part of creating the new system. It's so cool, but they don't know what's happening. So that's what I channel for people. But our body gives us clues about what's going on. And so for instance, say you have a cold and you get sick, instead of just taking medicine, the question is, it's probably happening because maybe it happens a lot in the winter. The sun goes away in the winter. We don't see as much sun. That's one of the things, right? You might be more, that creates some depression sometimes. You might be tired. There might be some, maybe you need to get rest. Maybe you need to change your eating habits. Everything that we experience with our body when it's not acting in full function is to tell us that there's something in our life that we need to change. Literally, okay? But we're not told that that's what's happening, because if we change what we needed to change in our life, we would, first of all, be waking up to all of this, and we wouldn't be participating in the system. So no one in Western society is going to teach us that our body is talking to us. So for instance, I have kidney issues. I have what's called medullary sponge kidney. And 15 years ago, I was on medication for a couple of years. And recently, in the last few years, I've been passing kidney stones. This is just an example. And it's because a lot of my life, kidneys are linked to fear. Okay. A lot of my life I've lived in fear because I've been participating in these systems, and religion didn't feel right to me. I was in religion. I was in the banking and finance area for 15 years. Go check out my story on how I exited by standing up against corruption. I lived in fear a lot of my life. And my kidneys have been telling me that it's time to change my life. It's time to get out of the system. It's time to start living in joy and love and let go of the things that are bringing me fear. But no one here can tell me that. So I've been suffering from kidney stuff. So as I start removing fear from my life, as I start operating from a place of more love and joy and letting go of the things that bring me fear or that are negative or bring me down, my kidney stones are going away. They're literally, the imaging that I got 15 years ago had hundreds of kidney stones. I now have 2 teensy ones in each kidney. It's because I'm changing my life. No one's giving me medicine. I've been in the emergency room for kidney issues. There's no one's curing this for me. I'm changing my life. That's just an example. They don't want us to know, and most people in the system don't know this either, but they do. They know this up here. These people up here at the very top are very spiritual, not in a good way. They know who we really are. They know we're souls in a human body, and our body is a machine of intelligence that will guide us. I'm going to get to education system next. From the time we come out of the womb, we're in school telling us what we need to believe, how we need to live, and we're disconnected from our soul and spirit, because if we're connected to our soul and spirit, we're getting the downloads of what we need to change in our life to start operating from an area of health. Like with cancer. Cancer comes from, there's actually studies done on this. Go check out Gaia, G-A-I-A. It's an app that or you can put on your TV, that there's a lot of scientists and doctors on there that speak to this. Again, don't take my word for it. I'm just sharing what I'm channeling. But they share how they've done studies on people with cancer. And, you've heard of the placebo effect. And people have been able to heal themselves from cancer when they're told it doesn't exist anymore, or when they change the things in their life that have caused them a lot of anger and fear for 20, 30 years. A lot of this stuff comes from childhood. They've been able to heal their cancer, not knowing, because they're being told they're getting a pill that's going to heal them, and they're told they're healed. Cancer goes away. When they're told the cancer that they got a placebo pill, the cancer comes back. It's literally in our mind. If we believe that that we have to go take a pill in order to, or go to the doctor and get treated, etc., to continue perpetuating what's going on, and we don't believe that our body is telling us what needs to happen, then we'll stay sick. And they want us, that's what they want. So they use their spiritual knowledge against us, and that's why this system was created. It's part of hijacking us and separating us from our soul and our spirit. Okay. And for anybody watching this that's in this arena, you may be triggered. Be patient and loving with yourself, because when you start to wake up to any of these systems, again, I was in banking finance. When you start waking up to what's really going on, it can be really shocking. And then you start questioning your reality, and it can be very, very, very hard. But if this resonates at all with you and you're in one of these systems and you think, I get a lot of people that say when they see this video on TikTok, the Western medicine one, when they see this video, they'll say, oh my gosh, you're literally speaking to my soul. I've been wondering why this isn't aligned anymore. But I don't know what to do. And then they'll, channel for them. But it's because they're being called out to create the new system. So be patient with yourself. This could be triggering, because if something you've believed that you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on in education, right, to become, and you realize that maybe you were told, things were hidden from you, and you weren't told the truth, it can be very, very triggering. But just know that you're in this system for a reason. You are in there for a reason. So don't beat yourself up and start asking the questions. Now, what do you do with this knowledge? Now that you know this, go do your own research. But now what do you do now that you know that this is what's happening here, and that we're literally kept from our truth of who we really are, and that our body is telling us that there's things that we need to change in our life and things we need to heal. And that is what heals our illnesses. Once you know that, then ask yourself, now, how can you take this information and help the collective? And there's one other thing I want to share, and then I would love to get your thoughts, Jennylyn. I have here marijuana. Okay. So, marijuana used to be illegal across the board in Western countries, right? I live in a state where it's legal now. It's been legal, I don't know, like 10 years, because the government figured out how to make money from it. Because if you go do research, not on Chrome, not on Google, because it's all going to be filtered, but if you go do research, there's lots of doctors out here who have written books about this, scientists, doctors that talk about this. Marijuana is a gift to this planet. I'm not talking about sitting on your couch smoking all day long and not going to work. I'm talking about the aid and the medicine of marijuana. When used correctly, it helps with seizures. It helps with epilepsy. It helps with so many things that they're not going to tell you it helps with, because you don't get stuck into the system if you're using plant medicine, right? You don't have to keep going back to the doctors over and over for something and keep on medicine that costs you however much money per month. The insurance system is another part of this. If you know that there's plant medicine, this is just one example, that can help you manage your symptoms or maybe even cure what's going on, in addition to changing some life choices that you have made that are contributing to some of your illnesses, who's making money from this? Not them, right? So when they realized, this is one that I didn't put in my TikTok video, but they brought it up today. So when they realized, right, that they could actually make money from this, they made it legal in a lot of states, in a lot of places. There's tribes all over the world that use plant medicine. They don't have access to any medicine, and they're living forever. They're healthy, right? Why is that happening? Why are we so sick here, right? So when you realize that you can access plant medicine in order to heal, they're not making any money. So when they realized, okay, what they do is they find out a way to make money. So it's like a 20 or 30 or 40% tax on this. So like, okay, if people are using this and they're not going to the doctor and they're curing themselves or managing symptoms in a way that actually they can live life, versus people's epilepsy and seizures, it's tough. They're not getting cured in West, in the system. So they said, okay, we'll release it, but we need to make sure we're going to make as much money as they would have if they were coming to our system for help. So they taxed the crap out of it. Is what they're doing. Why would all of a sudden this become legal, right? Why would all of a sudden in some states this become legal if they truly had our best interests in mind and they really believed it wasn't okay for us? It's legal because it's now a way for them to make even more money up here, because they're taxing you if you buy it, right? So the message here mainly is question everything. And if you find yourself going to the doctor a lot, if you're struggling with obesity or weight or illnesses, constant illnesses, I can basically guarantee you, I'm happy to channel this for you directly but I can almost guarantee you that if you look over your life, you've struggled with trauma, fear, depression, anxiety, worry, for whatever reason, probably because you're participating in some of these systems and people are telling you to live your life a certain way. It doesn't feel right, right? You might have had childhood trauma that participate in this. If you're experiencing those things, it's probably because your illnesses are directly related to the choices you're making in life. Now, I understand this is high level. I understand that some people, this might trigger some people because you might have, all of us have probably lost at least one loved one from something. And yes, maybe there's a way that could have been avoided had we known about and been told about. Our body is telling us, our body is giving us a sign that it's time to cut toxic people out of our lives. Make a decision to leave your job, right? Make a decision to stop watching the news, stop believing in all that stuff that they're shoving down your throat, start living your life in more harmony, joy, and hope, and watch your symptoms improve. Less, cut out the fast food, which is mostly chemicals. Start eating clean and organic and watch your life start to change, and you're not going to be stuck in the system anymore. If they could make money from us eating raw and organic and getting rid of fear and anger and depression, if they can make money from that, they would find a way to make money from that. But there's no way to make money from that. So the doctors in the system are not taught any of the truths, because if they teach you the truth of changing your lifestyle and changing, the decisions you're making, that's going to cure many things for many people, and they will no longer be participating in the system. So ask yourself, what needs to be changed in your life? What decisions do you need to change in order to start experiencing better health and disconnect from a system that just perpetuates the symptoms and doesn't actually cure you? All right, I'm going to pause.
I think that this is such a hot topic. We need really long thongs to handle it, because the majority of the content that is being pulled down are people like you sharing that message. I put out a video with a very credible scientist, and I got a ticket. It wasn't even up for a half an hour. And I was very careful with the names we use, because I know the algorithms are set to detect certain words. And it's amazing how high their filters are set, because they caught it and it was pulled down. Well, people, it's your life. And I really hope that you're listening to this and you're keeping an open mind, because here's my question. What have we got to gain by sitting here on our Saturday evening doing this if we didn't care about you all, if we didn't care about our fellow man? We're not asking you to spend any money. We're just asking you to listen, because I promise you, if you do, you're going to notice that the dots are connecting. And one thing that jumped out at me as you were speaking, Heather, is once the powers that be, the top guys,
the powers that were,
can make money off of anything that we are participating in, it gets approved. It makes me angry. It really does. It's infuriating. And I have to tell you, that's been the rampant emotion that I experience as I wake up. And I'm on fire to wake up my fellow man. Sorry, it's just the way I'm wired.
No, okay. Sorry. No apologies. I woke up out of the blue, and then started channeling all this stuff, and it's wild, and we're just here to share it. It's up to you. My guy, I got a little nudge to say, for the sake of keeping this video up, disclaimer, neither of us are doctors. Neither of us are in any of whether it's plant medicine or doctor. This isn't advice. We're just telling you, we're planting the seeds for you. Go do your own research, and then you get to choose what you believe. You get to choose, right? Don't fall into the trap of, well, someone else is telling me something else, so now I'm going to believe that. Don't. I challenge you to go do your own research and find out the history from books and from scientists and people who have lots of content out there. I'm sharing what's being channeled when I'm channeling. And they brought in this, so there's the disclaimer for you. So don't take this down, you know, powers that were. We put the disclaimer out there. But what they were showing me is that this is what happens. It's so wild. I wish I need to do a video on this. So we come out of the womb, which I'm going to get into that next, education. We come out of the womb. We're taught that for 18 years, what we need to know to go to participate in these systems and believe that this is how we are supposed to be living, right? Religion tells it to you, media tells it to you, school tells it to you, our parents tell us because they were told, right? We go participate in the systems and it literally goes against the grain. This is what they're showing with me right now. It literally goes against the grain of our soul. This is why, and I address this, I did a video on this on my TikTok and addressed this a little bit in the last video with Jennylyn, that people, more and more souls are incarnating, choosing to have Asperger's and autism, for example, because that disconnects them from believing this stuff. Have you noticed? They walk to the beat of their own drum on purpose. They're incarnating that way because we need less people believing this madness. And then if we medicate them, then they like are compliant. Think about that before you medicate, you know, do your research. But for the most part, besides them, we get into the system. It goes against our soul, goes against the grain of how we're supposed to live, which is following our joy. We're all creators. We're all here to create. I'm creating on TikTok. I'm channeling for people. That's what I do in my day job. Jennylyn's creating this, right? She's coming out with truth. You know, my husband makes jewelry. He draws. He works on motorcycles. There's all different types of creators, right? But we're not taught that's what we are. We're not given that really option in education system. And so we're going against the grain our whole lives. And that creates frustration. That creates anger. That creates, you know, fear of losing your job, you know, stay in line so that you don't lose your job because you got to pay your bills because you got to participate in the system. That then in turn creates disease, right? They know this. That creates illness. That creates you know, you get the flu, you get sick. Again, our body tells us when there's something wrong, right? And so since our body's telling us there's something wrong because we're literally rejecting the system, they created this to mask the symptoms that we're having so that we can continue participating in the system. So if your body is telling you for whatever disease or illness you have that's ongoing, that there's something wrong, have you looked into the root of that, first of all, right? But your body is telling you something is wrong. Is it your relationships? Is it the job? What is it? Instead of masking your symptoms with antidepressants, and you know, I've been on them. I've been on antidepressants in my past and anti-anxiety because I was in a system that was sucking my soul. I'm not on them anymore. I haven't been on them for years and years and years because I changed my circumstances. So instead of medicating myself so I can keep on participating in their system, that's why this was created, okay? To keep us participating so they can use us as pawns so they can live the life that they want and many other reasons. But point is, this was created so that we didn't actually change our life and change our decisions and connect to our soul. Because if we do that, then we're pulling from the system. And if the masses pull from the systems, there's nothing for this to stand up on. This pyramid is reliant on us participating in the systems. So when you're struggling with illness, etc., you know, I'm not a medical professional. Again, check out the disclaimer I just made. Start asking yourselves, what in your life is dragging you down? Is it healing from your childhood? Is it your partnership? Is it your job? Start looking at your life in addition to, if you want to keep participating in this, but start realizing that your body is telling you something is wrong. And because we've been living for thousands and thousands of years believing this is real, you know, it changes over time based on the times. We believe this is real. Our lineage, our heritage, our parents pass their unhappiness down to us and we pass it down, you know, maybe there's abuse and there's trauma because they're not happy either because they've been told they had to participate in these systems. And it's going literally against the grain of our sovereignty. It's going against the grain of our soul's desire to create and to live a life of joy and abundance. There isn't a select chosen few that get to live in abundance and we're the peons. This is not the lot we dealt in life. This is a beautifully, perfectly orchestrated machine that's been going on for so long that we get to say, I'm unplugging the power from this, not doing this anymore. I'm going to start looking for other ways to heal, right? I understand. And I got to say, disclaimer again, I'm thankful for pain meds from this system, because 2 years ago, I wasn't aware there's actually plant medicine that's created to, and a friend of mine made some that worked better than the medicine I got from them to help me with my pain. But at first, I was very thankful for that. There are benefits, you know, if I have a broken bone, I want to go get that fixed. I'm talking about high level. We're told that this is the only way to help us. We're not told that it's because of our life and that we're participating in a system that's sucking our soul from us. That is the root of why this was created. All right, I'm going to pause.
And there are three things that came through while you were speaking. My guide said, you and I need to make sure people watching this know this is not us speaking to them. We are bringing messages from the higher realms. We are just like a vessel that's been open to the communication we're getting so we can relay it to you. Second thing they've told me is, do not go to Google to do your research, because it's like watching mainstream media. You need to go to the website Gaia, like she said. There's Rumble. There's now one called Telegraph. I'm not sure how much information you can actually get on those channels, but if you go to Google, you're going to think that we are lying to you, and you're already getting the same information that you would get on Google every time you turn your TV on. Third thing they told me to tell you is there are a lot of babies, 5-year-olds, that are saying the same thing that we are telling you, that they have chosen to come to the planet to bring these messages, so that when you don't believe people like Heather and I, because we look like, well, we're speaking gibberish and nonsense and whatever, that these babies at the age of 5, go do your research. There are lots of them on some social media platforms giving information that there's no way they could know. And so my guides are saying they're very passionate about us waking up. And this is why most of the young children coming into the world today are coming in, like Heather said, choosing those diseases so they can't be programmed, and waking up telling their parents stuff that the parents are having to take them to the doctor. Like my child is telling me he was Linda in another life, or bringing in information from past lives, and when the parents check it out, they're finding out that their child is a reincarnated soul that has come to the planet to help mankind to wake up. So I don't need to beat my drum and ask you to believe what we're telling you, but we are going to continue so Heather can tell you what the guides are telling her to tell you next.
Yeah, I mean, I know none of this stuff. This is all channeled. And like I keep saying, go do your own research. Google, Chrome. It's, you know, eventually a lot of these other systems get bought up by big conglomerates, but there's still like Telegram, all the things that Jennylyn just mentioned. There are places out there where truth is still available, but there's also lots of books that have been written that are out there. You know, why do you think over thousands of years there's been mandates to burn books? Why would people be told to burn books? Because we're burning all the proof that this stuff is, you know, stuff like this is real. So go do research. There's definitely lots of books out there, but Gaia's got a lot of content, and then some of these platforms. But what they're saying is that,
before you continue, real quick before you on the previous video, I mentioned this. I'd like to mention it on this video as well, in case you haven't seen the previous video. There is a young man named Sean, and Sean is passionate about bringing truth to the world as much as we are, and he has spent a lot of his money and time traveling the world and uncovering artifacts and books and information to prove what we're saying. And in the near future, he's coming on my show together with Heather, who is channeling messages, and Sean, who has the evidence to prove what we're saying. So
cool. You can find him. I think his TikTok handle is Out of the Matrix. So,
yeah, you can find him on TikTok as Out of the Matrix, and he's on YouTube. He's on YouTube and other platforms. I just couldn't tell you offhand, but look for Out of the Matrix on TikTok, and you will see where he has evidence to prove everything he is saying. Heather?
He's the intellectual, and I'm channeling this, and I was wild when I saw his stuff. There's other people like us too. There's other people out there sharing this stuff, but he's really good. So on the Google Chrome thing, what they're saying is, again, imagine all of everything we participate in, anything that's allowed to the masses. Again, there's like Telegram and Rumble. Those are some alternative things, but of course they're not going to be advertised anywhere. But anything that comes out to the masses is all part of this, guys. They own all of this. They own Google. They own Chrome. If anybody speaks against the narrative, you go to their Wikipedia page and you can see the date that it's changed. So if somebody's speaking out against the narrative of something, you go to the Wikipedia page if it's someone that, like a doctor or something, and you'll see that they've recently changed the page and there's a bunch of stuff denouncing them. There's a bunch of stuff saying that there's something wrong with them. And it'll be a new update, because they have to go on there and update this so that when somebody sees the person talking against the narrative, they go to the Wikipedia page and they can see, oh, this has happened to me before. I've sent people to doctors' pages that are speaking out against certain narratives, and the people that I send to the Wikipedia page will say, oh, look, see, he did something wrong 10 years ago. I'm not going to believe him. And you'll see that the date was very recent. After he spoke out against the narrative, they updated the Wikipedia page to denounce him. So they own all those things, guys. This is all part of the system. You have to understand, we're living in a reality where as long as you go external for information, you're going to be stuck in the matrix. You're going to be stuck in these systems that they tell us we have to believe. Everything, including what we're sharing today, use your own discernment. Okay, use your own discernment to say, does this feel right for me? If you feel any fear, that's not discernment. That's fear because something you believe is being threatened, right? Use your own discernment. That's what the education system was created for, is to literally disconnect you from your discernment. So what they showed me is that these people, the same people that created this system, also created this system. What a coincidence, or not? So they created our recent system in the last couple hundred years in order to make us all believe that this is real, because this benefits who, guys? Doesn't benefit us. Where's all of our money, time, and energy going? It's not coming home with us. So many people work 50, 60, 80 hours a week. I was one of them. And their soul's being sucked from their body, right? It's because we were told we have to do it. So this is what they showed me. This is so interesting. I mean, it seems so clear to me now, but all right, from the time you can go to the bathroom on your own, basically, right? Because nobody wants to deal with that in school. You are away from your parents like 40 hours a week. You're away from your primary caregivers who care the most about you 40 hours a week, but who also went through this system. So you go 40 hours a week and you learn what? What are we learning for 18 years? I've seen recently, there's videos of parents in courts trying to get certain curriculum taken out of schools that's, in my opinion, incredibly inappropriate for young children to hear, or they don't believe in it, or they don't support it, and they have no say. Parents literally have no say in what's being taught in schools. Who is creating the curriculum then? Question number one for you all to do your own research. Who's creating the curriculum? And then who is it benefiting? Who is it benefiting? If there's parents fighting the curriculum, then it's not supporting the parents. And who's creating the curriculum? It's the same people that are creating these systems, because these people created this system to create factory workers. These are factories. Okay, these are modern day factories. So you get out of the system after 18 years, your most formidable years, right? So you learn from the time you can barely talk, you're learning what your parents know, which is this stuff. And then you go to school and it's reinforced 40 hours a week or whatever into your system. You learn 10 key, or you learn the basics of what will make you a good player in this system. Are you taught how to follow your joy? Are you taught how to naturally heal yourself? Are you taught how to get toxic things out of your life? Are you taught to follow your natural abilities, your natural skill sets? You're taught what they want you to know to support these systems. And then we get into the system, right? And then we go to church, or we put it on the news, and it's reinforced even more as an adult, right? So we're they're creating good little soldiers here, right? There's the principal's office, there's
It's
punishment.
it's a well-oiled machine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the thing is we're putting our whole lives into this stuff. They've just created out of nothing and created punishment systems and shame and guilt systems to make us believe that we have to, right? So that creates good little soldiers for the system. And you can go find articles. There's actually documents that you can find where they talk about this, that they're going to create this system and they're going to keep us from knowing truth, and they're going to create workers for them, not workers for us, not how we want to live our life, right? I had a stroke in my 30s from the stress in the banking and finance industry when I was standing up against corruption. You would think that if you're standing up against corruption and overt discrimination against Black and brown people, you'd think that you'd get support, but they push it under the rug and they hid it because they don't want to disrupt the system. So I had a stroke. Who has a stroke in their 30s? Again, Western medicine will just treat the symptoms. No one tells you get out of a job. Like, this isn't for you, right? Because all of these people have been taught what they want us to know too. So the educators also believe this, guys, because this is what they're taught, you know. So this is what they brought up is the example of Thanksgiving. I think it's pretty common knowledge by now, but maybe not. We all pretty much know what really happened with the Native Americans here, right? We know that, you know, Christopher Columbus and everyone came over and they didn't make nice, right? I mean, we know that by now, but are we taught that in school, right? So what I remember being taught in school is that, you know, people from not here, you know, Christopher Columbus, everyone came over here, and there were people living in harmony, living their own way. They're living with plant medicine. They're living with ceremonies. They're living with in harmony with each other. And the people who came over to this country, who discovered this country, started taking over the less advanced technology species, right? I was taught, though, that they came over and made nice, and that Thanksgiving was a symbolism of two different backgrounds coming together and making nice and saying that, like, yes, we're friends and everything went well. Okay, why are we taught this, first of all, when we know that didn't happen? And if we know pretty much now, I think it's very common knowledge. When I was in school 20, 30 years ago, maybe it wasn't as common. If we know now it's not true, then why aren't we being taught the truth? Why aren't they being taught the truth in school, right? That what really happened, it's because history's written by the winners. The winners write history. And whatever they want to be written in books is what will be put in the books, okay? So why aren't we learning what really happened, for example, with Thanksgiving? And so you got to apply that concept, that idea, to everything we learn in school. Why aren't we learning the truth about the cosmos? Why aren't we learning quantum physics? You know, we can make it in bite-sized pieces for the younger kids, but why aren't we learning the truths that we now know about how things work here? We're all energetically connected. There's literally an energetic field that they've proven through science. Why aren't we learning that stuff? It's because then we start to question our role in all of this, right? So the primary reason for creating this system was to create workers for this global pyramid. But the second main reason is it separates you from your soul. It separates you from your intuition. It separates you from your creator. It separates you from your higher self. And that's where all the truth is. Why are you here? Why did you choose to incarnate? Because you did. We chose to incarnate here. What did you want to do when you were here? How can you live the most joy-filled life, right? We're not taught that here. That stuff comes from our higher self, because we've chosen to forget. Well, we come here. I'm not going to do this for a video, but we chose to forget everything before this. Otherwise, it would make life very difficult over here. They know that we've chosen to forget, so they hijack us from a really early age to tell us who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. Right? Because if we can disconnect the kids from their soul and we tell them how they're supposed to be living, they're no longer connected to, you know, they are no longer hearing the guidance. And then they grow up to be people like I used to be, and many of us, that believe this is real, that don't hear the nudges and guidance from our higher self, our soul, from God, on how to make changes in our life to start living in more joy. And that probably means disconnecting from these systems, quitting your job, leaving the partner, whatever it is, moving, right, to a place that brings joy. So for 40 hours a week, you're given the script of how to live. so you can support this system. And it teaches us structure and obedience, right? If you get out of line, you're punished. There's, the punishment system starts young. You are expelled, you go to the principal's office, you have detention, right? So you learn very early on that if you step out of line, there's punishment. And our most formidable years are before we turn 18, right? So by the time we graduate high school, we're robots. We know exactly what's expected of us and how we're supposed to live, and there's no question of participating in these systems, because that's what we've been disconnected from our soul and higher guidance, and this is the only option we've been given, right? There's only one option. Just like with political systems, what I addressed in the last video, they give us the illusion there's choice. You've got a red, blue, or a red side and a blue side. How is that even an option? That's an illusion of choice. And of course, that's not even real either. So we believe this, get into the system, and then we start having illnesses. We start being sick. When I was at the bank, our leave of absence statistics were insane. I was an executive, so I got to see all these reports. It's like they were managing to like a 20 or 30% leave of absence rate, meaning people were so stressed and so beat down by their job that they were taking long-term 6 month to 2-3 year leave of absences because they were so sick, because their soul is literally rejecting being in these systems. But 20 to 30% leave of absence was a fine number to manage to. Nobody should be so upset and unhappy in their life that they're taking 2 or 3 years off of work and then too scared to leave their house in case they're caught, by someone that, and turned in for not really being sick. It's because this is literally sucking our soul from our body. It literally disconnects us from our body. So start asking yourself, why do you believe all the stuff that we were taught in school is real? Where's the proof that what we were taught in school is real? Is it because your teacher told you? Is it because a pastor told you? Is it because the media told you? Is it because a doctor told you? Again, it's all part of this hierarchy system. That's why more and more people are waking up now. And the more you disconnect from fear, the more you disconnect from anger, and make changes in your life to start moving more towards joy and things that you want to do and things that bring you joy, relationships that bring you joy, jobs that bring you joy, you start to hear your higher self's guidance. And that's why they keep us in fear and indoctrinated, because we can't hear our higher self's guidance, which most likely would be guiding you away from this stuff, or at least into a different area, so you're not suffering from some type of illness that was perpetuated by being in a system that isn't serving you. All right.
Okay, so we're almost out of time, believe it or not. But this is what I heard while you were speaking, what I channeled. Number one, who set the curriculum? This is a question I had throughout my life. Who sets the school curriculum? And number two, why does education cost so much money? How many Americans are starting their life out in debt for an education that upon its completion, there's no work, but there are bills? And I don't get how everyone is okay with this. I've watched these things and wonder if something is wrong with me for thinking something is wrong with it when everyone else seems okay. Like, this is the way it's going to be. I'm going to go to work really hard, find money for the food and the house and the clothes, but then I have to start saving up for college. And I've always I look at all these kids graduating. I've gone to graduation ceremonies because I've got 2 daughters who've both graduated from universities. And I've sat with other parents at the graduation ceremonies looking at these kids thinking, I hope they all get a job. Because so many of them are coming out of there with hope and debt. Financial debt. What a way to start your life. And so I had a British education because I was raised in a British territory. And when I look at the curriculum the education I had in comparison to the education my children had, there was such a huge disconnect. But regardless, it's all the same system. And I believe, and this is my personal opinion, there's so many people who would do a lot more with their lives if they didn't go through that system. Because while they were in there, it was somehow distracting them from their natural abilities and what they were truly meant to do. My humble opinion, don't crucify me for it. And so it's very, very sad. And you and I have lived our entire lives through this system, and I'm sure many before us. And so this is at least, I mean, I'm looking forward to the collapse of them all, but especially this one and the previous one, because that is where I see as human beings, we are so robbed, misled, and used.
Well, that's why my guides say that the education system is the most corrupt one on the planet, because you're 3-4 years old when you get into it, kindergarten or preschool, right? You're 3-4 years old when you get into it, and that creates the foundation for everything else that will continue to be inundated with. That's why religion, right? All these other things were created to continue this education once you graduate. And I just want to comment really quick. I have a really good friend who was a college professor, and I met him a long time ago, and he left the system. And I asked him, this is before I started channeling this. He told me, like, before I woke up, like 5-6 years ago, he told me this. I said, why'd you leave the system? He said, because I woke up and realized that the system was taking advantage of young, unsuspecting people. And they're spending $100,000, $50, $100, $200,000 on college and get out, and they can't do anything with it. And they know that's happening. And that's exactly why they're doing it. Right. And I went to 1 year of college, full disclosure. I went to 1 year of college, fully rejected it. I was in all of the honors classes in high school. I had like tagged, talented, and gifted. I was always at the top of stuff. I went to 1 year of college and was like, not for me. This didn't feel right. I progressed in the company at the bank so fast from my natural skill sets. I'm not passionate about banking. I was passionate about building teams and helping people improve in their roles. Now I know it's a natural gift I have, but I was managing multiple layers of people. And so many of the people I was managing in their 20s or 30s had college degrees that they were paying back that they never were able to use. And they were in banking, selling loans over the phone or selling products in a banking center that anybody can do, and paying back these loans that they were never going to use. So I've seen this firsthand. And that's why, again, ask yourself, why do you believe that college is the answer? Now, if I have to go have surgery, I'm hoping the person had college, right? If I want to be represented in a court of law, I'm hoping that they had a college education. But for the most part, we aren't told that our natural skill sets and abilities are the moneymaker. They are what's going to bring us happiness, and that we don't need college to further an education system that's going to put us in one of these systems. Because again, these people I was managing with $100,000, $200,000 college degrees were in the banking system doing what anybody could do without a college degree. They just couldn't find a job that was going to either pay back their college faster or that was going to support the college that they had, right? So again, the system was created to, and we don't realize all, like you mentioned, all this debt we get in. You go to college, you're 17, 18 years old, and you can open up credit cards with no training on how to use them for your benefit, run up credit cards, and now you owe the system even more money, right? So it's all connected.
Case in point. And before we wrap, I'd like to say this because I know very successful, what the world calls successful people, what the world calls educated people, who will judge someone based on where they went to school and their education. That's my definition of ignorance, because I have interviewed on my show the co-founder of Apple and Oracle, and I actually had the co-founder of Oracle on my show discussing education. And we talked about all the people, when they're getting hired, they're looking for the people who've graduated from the best universities, which aren't necessarily the best people. So it's kind of sad. All these paradigms have to collapse really fast.
Well, they're hiring those people because they're told at the top of my guys are saying, they're told if they start hiring people that weren't in college, well, I wasn't, but I built my way up. If they start hiring people without college degrees, then the word gets out fast that you don't need to go and spend $200,000 at college, right? So they're literally told you need to look for college degrees because it perpetuates the system.
Yes. So all of you who are judging people because they didn't go to an Ivy League school as to, if they're good enough or not, that's your bad. It's not a fact. I know many people who did not go to, including myself, who was not educated in the US. And for most people, they can't really equate my level of education. I don't know what's important to them because it doesn't really matter to me. I am doing what I was born to do. And so, Heather, once again, we've covered some amazing ground. So thank you for spending the time with me. And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired and educated, as in this case. And we will be back soon with another segment. Thank you.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.